Hi, I'm Sandi Genovese, and it's dark in here right now because we're going to be making hanging ornaments that have tea lights inside so that you have the ability to light up any place on your holiday tree, any place outside you might want to hang ornaments that have tea lights inside. We're going to turn the lights up now so that we can actually work. Okay, well, so much for mood lighting, but I wanted you to see really close up. This is the ornament that we're going to make, and it's made with a die cut that's for a cake pop box, believe it or not, but it is perfect for making these hanging ornaments. Here is the same exact design, but in just a different color pattern. And when I open this up and you look inside, you can see that inside are just these flameless candles. They are so handy, and because they're safe, there's no real actual flame, it is perfect for creating things that you want to hang either on the Christmas tree itself or maybe anywhere on outside where you want to hang things that you want to be lit. It just is wonderful mood lighting. Well, as I mentioned, I started with a die cut, and don't worry, I'm going to show you an alternative in case you don't have this die cut at the end. This is from, Sizzix carries this from the Wear Woman Cook line, and it's called a cake pop box. And you'll see it's got all the creases. I'm going to just fold on the creases. And of course, the scoring is part of the die, so you don't have to worry about scoring it. It's going to do it for you. And I'm folding everything the same direction. So I'm folding everything as a mountain fold. It doesn't matter if it's mountain or valley, just provided they all fold the same way. So I think one last little fold here on the end. Also notice that the box itself has these two little flaps. It's going to help make it engage so that it will keep the lid closed, so that it catches on those two little slits when the box is actually closed. At this point, before assembling the box, I think it's easiest to line this window opening before actually closing it into a box. So I'm going to take, and I just have sheets of vellum that I picked up from the scrapbook store, and I've already used some of it, but it has this fun, looks like a snow pattern. If you just have regular vellum that you can pick up at Staples that's plain, you can use your white jelly roll pen to add the same texture that looks like little polka dots. Now I'm going to take and just use my adhesive to put adhesive around where the window opening's going to be. And then place the vellum so it will sit right inside. Any place there's still adhesive, because I wasn't very careful about measuring where to put it, because I know I can just rub it off. So that's going to line that window. I think it's also easiest to add the other decoration. If you look back here, you can see that I've created this fun look, made it almost look like a Christmas wreath. Well, this is a Tim Holtz punch, and I'm going to just unlock it, and I'll go ahead, and I think I used 3. So I'm going to punch 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. So here are my 3 punched stamps. And when it comes time to try to put adhesive on something really delicate like this, I use the back of a Post-it note. So I'm going to take the actual punch shape, depending, it doesn't matter, it could go either direction. I'm going to place it, this is the sticky portion. This is going to keep it from wanting to all ruffle and move and get all torn apart as I roll my adhesive over it. So I'm going to do 2 of them, and then I'll have, I think I need 3 for this project. So once I add my adhesive to these 2, then I'll add the 3rd one down there. So once it's stuck, then I'm going to go back, and now that I don't have to worry about it moving around on me, I'm going to place my adhesive. I'll go ahead and take, I can see I missed a few spots. You're going to put more adhesive than I am. And then because the Post-it note, the adhesive there is not permanent, once I get an edge lifted here, it's going to just pull loose And then I'm going to flip it over and use it to go around the design of this circular window on this box. I'll take the backing off, just pull this off of the Post-it note carefully the same way the second one. And once again, I'm just going to keep moving around the circle opening of that window. And I can see I want it to face this way, so I'm going to turn it this way when I stick it down in order to add my adhesive to this final one. And pull it off. It's delicate, so you want to pull it off carefully. And attach the final one. And it is not difficult at all to add cool designs that are delicate like that using the little Post-it trick. Any place that the adhesive, that the leaf pattern sticks out where it's going to fold over, I'll just remove that. Once you have any other decoration that you want to do, if you want to rubber stamp a pattern, like I'll bring this over, like you can kind of see I did here. I used just the watermark ink pad. You want to add any glitter, any other thing you want to do it while it's flat. It's the easiest time to add decoration. Then all you do is put adhesive on this one side tab and then fold it and fold the other side and press it. This gives you the box shape. Now I'm going to go ahead and close up the bottom. So I'll pull in these tabs first. The bottom of this box closes by these slits that interlock. So I'm going to slide those and lock them into place. I can see that I have just a little bit of that leaf kind of hanging over the edge. So I think I'm going to trim a little bit off of that too, so that when it sits nicely. Then you're going to drop the tea light inside to create the flame. But before you actually close the lid, you also need the hanger. Now, I've done all different. You can use thicker, you can use thinner. If you use a thinner ribbon like I'm using here, you may have to do 2 or 3 knots in order to make the knot fat enough that it won't just slip through the punch that is hole punched in the lid of this box. Because if this were really going to hold a cake pop, that's where the stick of the cake pop would go. So I've tied a knot. I think that that's not a fat enough knot to hold. So I'm going to go back and just tie again into another knot, and it just needs to be right on top of the existing one, and that way you build up thickness. So now I have a nice thick double knot. So this then is going to just, let me see if I can do this facing so you can see. So I'm going to poke this through, and then you want to be sure that you have that knot thick enough that it won't pull through. See how that's still not thick enough? I need to tie one more knot. Let me do it a third time for the size of that. When we make our own box, I'm going to make the hole in the lid smaller, just for that very reason, so you don't have to do so many knots. Okay, now we have a nice chunky knot. Now, let's double check this, make sure it works. Once again, poke it through and slide it. Okay, now it's going to catch, no problem. So when you close this up, make sure your ribbon is tucked inside. So I'm going to close it and make sure that the lid is nice and tight. And then you can see how it's now ready to hang onto a tree, any little place you might want to hang it outside. It's just the coolest and the simplest and easiest thing. Now, I mentioned I use the Cake Pop die cut. If you don't have that die, or you know it just doesn't appeal to you, don't want to get it, You can use any box. So if you take a box that you have that happens to be this style of box where the lid is attached, you just take it apart, use it as a pattern. If this is too large, you don't want one quite this large, just put it into your copier and reduce it until it's the right size. Once you have the actual box the size you want it and cut into the box shape, then go back and add the window with just a circle punch. So I've marked where the middle was, and then I'm not going to stop to do it now, but you do the same thing. You would take the vellum and you would place it behind here in order to add the window. You can add whatever other decoration around the window. Remember, it's going to hang, so we need to create some kind of a holder here. So what I'm going to do is take my cutting pad and my screw punch, and I have marked the center of the lid of this box. So that's where these two lines intersect. So I'm going to take my screw punch, put it right in the middle. If you don't want it to hang crooked, you do want to be sure. This is one of those times when you really do want to measure. And you can see why it's called a screw punch, because it really wants to twirl that. So go over this a few times. See how I made a smaller size hole? This way it'll be easier, even if you're using thin ribbon. Then you're going to add whatever decoration you want, line the window, do the same thing with your adhesive. It's once again just going to go on this edge, and I'm going to create the box in the same way. Here is the bottom of the box. I haven't lined the window opening, but imagine that it's lined. I'll drop in maybe a larger little light this time. I haven't stopped to create any kind of a ribbon, but you're going to have to imagine. You've already seen how to do that, so you're going to place that. And then I thought, how fun would it be to go ahead and add, these are my niece's little girls, and these are their most recent school photos. So I'm going to take and I'm going to add their school photos just by adding them to the edges of this to turn this little hanging ornament that's lit also into something that is a great way to highlight their newest, latest and greatest photos. You know, flameless candles, they make it safe to hang lighted ornaments anywhere on your tree or even in your yard.